Welcome to SoCal Sports Report's 77th live podcast. I am your host, John Stellman, along with Vince Morales and right in from the desert, John Adams. Before we even start with our topics, breaking news that Magic Johnson apparently has stepped down. I think press conference might be in full swing right now. Let's go to Vinny. I think he's got some information on that.
Yeah, that was it. He called an impromptu press conference right before their last game against the Portland Trail Blazers. Apparently, Jeannie Buss was not aware of what he was going to say, or she may have known right before he said it, but he has stepped down. He says it's not fun for him. He doesn't like all the tampering charges. He wants to interact with other people in the NBA. I think that's all just window dressing. I think we all know that he's done a pretty crappy job. The heat is on, and he's butting heads with Jeannie about whether to keep Luke. And I think this may be an indication that Luke is going to stick around. So that's my feelings on it. I love Magic Johnson as a player, as a human being, as a person. He was a terrible Lakers coach. He's a terrible Lakers general manager and president. I'm not sorry to see him go in that capacity.
He said, I think, way back when he took this job, if I can't get this team into the playoffs or in contention within a couple of years, I'll step down. So he's a man of his word. And I agree with you. I think they made a mistake in not hiring a president and a general manager with experience. Granted, Magic's a great businessman. He's proven that. He's an entrepreneur, and he's a billionaire, but he's never run a front office of a professional sports team. Rob Pelinka has been the player agent on the other side. He has never been involved in negotiating from this side of the table. I don't think it was broken. I think it was broken before it even got started. Neither one of them had any experience in either position, and I think it showed. I mean, a lot of the moves that Magic made. I mean, you don't know where to start. I mean, you lose Julius Randle for nothing. You don't even get a draft pick. You get nothing for him. The guy averages 19 points a game this year. Brook Lopez, he signs for the $1.1 million that the Lakers could have given him. You go and beg the Clippers to take Zubac from you for a shooter that can't shoot. So I'm not really impressed with the decisions the front office have made. I don't know how much of it's Magic, how much is Rob, but I don't think either one of them are qualified. John?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's been successful everywhere he's been, but jumping into this new job, I totally agree. I just don't know if he's also got a lot of things going on. He's not going to give it 100. I don't know if he gave it 100%, but certain guys like there's been certain baseball players that said that they'd be good coaches and they're not good coaches.
Right.
and I don't know. I guess my question to you guys is is it time to clean house, right? Get rid of Rob and get rid of Luke and get rid of, everybody that, and start all over again. And is that something that needs to be addressed by, the Buss family and make those decisions from there? But obviously what they decided to do this year is failed. So, I think it goes back to the drawing board, putting everything on the table and trying to start all over again. I don't know. I don't know. For some apparent reason, Vince, I know that you say Luke might want to stay. I don't like his game plans. I don't like the way that he runs his offense. I don't know.
Rotation is terrible.
It's just I just think there needs to be fresh for everything. I think they need to, and obviously LeBron is going to be an input here on who he wants to coach him. But I don't know. I just think there needs to be a cleaning of the house and in all regards. So. Yeah.
Well, Mark Heisler had a story in the Register on Sunday where he pretty much bashed the front office, and one of his points was that Magic has disappeared. You don't see him around. He's not in his offices. Doesn't show up at practices that much. And he's pretty much unavailable. And Heisler pointed out that a lot of presidents don't always, occupy their office during the season. But they have strong GMs who are there every second of the way to take on whatever challenge might rear its head.
He was watching Michigan State try to get to the NCAA finals. That's where he was.
Yeah. And, Pelinka is no guy to count on when you're out of the office. I mean, he's not a genius at making decisions either. Mm-hmm. So I just
he doesn't appear to be. Again, we don't know. Obviously, Magic was the figurehead for most of this, and Rob was the money guy. Once everything was shut down and handed over to Magic and Rob, it was very clear that they were. Going forward from a deficit position, we knew that the money that they were handcuffed with, Kupchak handcuffed them with those salaries. It was just outlandish, and so they were already coming from a deficit position, and I get that completely, and it seems like there wasn't a lot of nuance or subtlety to what they were doing. It felt like, let's take this big chunk and make that a negative, and this is a positive, and we get rid of all of this money so we can sign this many people, and the people will come. And they didn't come, and then it was like, oh crap! Now I'm going to get Lance Stevenson, right? JaVale McGee,
Tyson Chandler,
Beasley, Michael Beasley, Tyson Chandler, Rondo. It just felt like. It just felt like, hey, look at me. I can shift the money around, and look at me. I can field a team just, based off of all of these 1-year contracts. And it's like, again, I'll say it, as I said before, saw this coming, right? That team never felt like it was going to be.
It's not surprising.
No, and that being said, I think that it's come to some loggerheads now with Jeannie sort of looking and saying, okay, what's your philosophy for this team? And Magic comes in there and saying, we need to get rid of Luke, and we need to, keep these guys, and we need to get rid of that guy. And Jeannie's probably looking at him and saying, I completely disagree with this. Yeah. I completely disagree with this. And I think that's what's happened, is that it's no fun. It feels like Luke might still get fired, and that's probably right. I mean, somebody needs to.
I think we need.
But also, this could have been Magic, falling on his sword for Luke, and we might see, not for Luke, but if he falls on his sword, that might spare Luke. John thinks we need a fresh start, and that might be the case. I don't know who's going to step in, if Pelinka is going to be the the complete and utter full-time general manager guy, because Magic is out. I mean, he's out. He's no longer in a capacity with the Lakers, as far as I know. We might hear something different about whether there's some sort of figurehead position, but he's done. I just scratch my head because the Laker fans are set, one side of their mouth, they're saying, gosh, Rondo was out, and LeBron was out, and Lonzo was out, and we had all these guys, and I don't know that they need that much more. And then you see them play a kind of a must-win game against the Clippers for the Clippers, and all about effort. And trust me, any Laker fan who sits out there and says, Jamario Jones, Alex Caruso, these guys should be on the roster, you're out of your minds. Alex Caruso can give you a week, 10 days, 20 days of great effort, but he is not going to make your roster. He just shouldn't make your roster. I'm sorry. He's a great guy, the Bald Mamba, love him, love the effort, but we need that kind of effort every night from the kids.
82 times.
From the guys that we drafted, not the G Leaguers.
Right. You were saying that from what you could gather on the computer there, that Jeannie was not made aware of this before the press conference?
Apparently not. Apparently the indication was that he had just informed her that he was going to call an impromptu press conference and resign. Wow. So she was there with him.
Right.
But
unaware of what he was going to say.
Maybe unaware prior to.
Probably aware right before she went on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Made aware of what he was going to do.
About? I'm stepping down. What?
Yeah. What? I mean, where do they go from here? I mean, are there anybody? Obviously, if Jeannie didn't know about this, she hasn't done a search for a president. So that's
the timing. The timing of it is odd.
The timing is very odd.
I don't really understand it. It feels very selfish.
Yep.
Of Magic. it feels like there should have been more time for everybody to prepare, so it looks
Exactly,
like this team isn't just floundering.
Let's have a little transition. Here from.
It's a mistake. I mean, the optics of it are bad. What is actually happening is bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. It makes the team look bad. It's got to have LeBron questioning what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
And it's pretty clear that this is LeBron's team in more ways than one. And I'm very intrigued to see how this plays out.
It doesn't help Magic's image any. I failed. I'm out of here. See you later.
Yeah.
Don't let the door hit me on the way out.
Right. Exactly.
It didn't, and from what I'm hearing from friends who are texting me who are watching the press conference live, he's very emotional about it. It doesn't feel like, he came to this conclusion very easily, but it doesn't sound like I failed and I need to go. It sounds like this is no fun for me anymore. I don't want to be the guy who fires, people.
Right.
I want to be able to chat with people without, being accused of tampering. That sounds so disingenuous.
Yeah.
It feels like there was no exit strategy at all. And that if I'm a free agent, I'm looking at that going, oh my God, what a dumpster fire.
Exactly.
And that's not the way an LA Laker franchise should be run and handled.
And this is going to affect free agency. I mean, like you said, players are going to look at the instability and who's going to be leading us, who's going to be the coach.
Unless Jeannie acts quickly and says, Luke's our guy. Here's our general manager pick. Here's what's happening. I'm in control. Kind of the Alexander Haig. Even if you're not in control, I've got it. I'm in charge.
Yeah.
Just take charge.
Is there anybody? I can't even think of anybody out there that would take that general manager position.
It's happened so quickly here. I don't have enough.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't even know where to start, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
so.
It's a shocker. It's a shocker.
Yeah. The only thing I would say. All right. Again, I'm starting to sound like a UCLA Bruin fan. Let's just wait till it turns over and we'll get Tony Bennett. He'll be our guy. We'll get Tony Bennett.
Right, yeah.
Oh, shucks. He won. I guess he won't be coming to UCLA. Oh, God. But it sounded a little like that, a little Pollyanna. Maybe this is greasing the skids for a Mike Krzyzewski. General manager, coach, he's in charge, player personnel, right? Why not?
I know why not, but I mean, he's got it so good.
Of course he's got it so good. He'd never come.
He would never come, but I understand where you're going there.
He'd never come, but, so you're saying I've got a chance.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but I think that's the only kind of deal that would attract Krzyzewski.
I'll bet the no at minus 800. Yeah.
How much influence is LeBron going to have now in selecting the
I think he's going to have all of it.
Yeah, I think he's going to be pretty heavy into this deal. But then, if it's not going their way, are you pointing the finger at the coach, or are you pointing the finger at LeBron, saying you brought this guy in here, right? So, I just don't make some sudden moves, right? Do your homework. Make sure that whoever you bring in is going to fit what's going on with because what do you got? 2 years or 3 years with LeBron? What is it after that, right?
Next year's number 2.
Is this like a deal like the coach that you bring in leaves with LeBron in 3 years and then you start all over again?
There's a lot of I think Kyrie Irving said a couple of days ago he would be open to meeting with the Lakers next summer during the free agent period. Apparently he and LeBron have kissed and made up over their little squabble in Cleveland. But I wonder how this would affect that. I mean, if that have any effect at all on,
It's got to. It really. What happens in the next 48 to 72 hours? I think that's critical. If Jeannie comes out kind of milk toasty about this, we're in deep trouble, right? Mm-hmm. But if there is this wow, this is unexpected, but I have a bottom drawer with, auxiliary plans for any, occasion, then maybe. But
Maybe Doc can come over and be coach and president.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? Yeah, I think he's fine right there.
Yeah, he's doing well. He's got it pretty well under control. All right, that was quite a shocking way to start the day.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Final Four. Keeping my streak alive, having watched a college basketball game this year.
Did you not watch the final? Really?
No.
You thought that Angels Milwaukee game was going to be.
That was,
That's where you put that energy, did you?
Well, if Gonzaga had been there, I would have watched it.
Yeah. No, you
I know you guys watched it and probably have some thoughts on Virginia's victory.
Well, you know what I'd love to see is what were the numbers going into that when it comes to viewers, right? Because like Vincent, even from the Final Four, it was very defensive minded, right? And I want to say the Michigan Texas Tech game at halftime was 23-21, right? So, it started out that way. It started out like I'm already bored in the first 3 minutes of the game. It was slow going, trying to figure it out. And
the first 9 minutes of the game.
Well, I would say the first half is just
the first,
yeah. And then the second half was actually the whole game. It was very exciting.
Yeah.
It was
Some
the
offense,
last
apparently.
last 5 minutes were really, you were sucked in and you were actually stuck to the TV. Here we are looking at probably the Elite Eight games down and how referee judgment on certain calls really changed the way some of these games ended. I don't know if you were able to see the call last night where I'm not going to take anything away from Virginia. I'm not going to say that this call changed the game because it probably didn't. But the ball that was knocked out of the Texas Tech kid's hands, and they threw it in a super slow motion and literally looked at it for 10 minutes before there was a decision. And they said that the kid hit the ball out of his hands, and it was out of his hands. He punched it, but it was still rolling across his hand, and the pinky was on the ball.
Right.
And it would have given Texas Tech a chance, but the ball went the other way. And I just thought it kind of took away from the game and the finish. And I don't know, Vinny, it could have gone both ways. It was a coin flip. But when I saw it live to the eye, I'm like, that ball's going to Texas Tech. And then, all these different camera angles and showed the pinky didn't change the ball's direction.
Right.
It just went straight out, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Again, I'm not taking away anything from Virginia. I'm not saying that would have won the game, but
Texas Tech was still down 2. They would, they would have had
the ball.
Yeah.
You just never know, right?
Yeah, you don't know.
But I don't know. It just changed the finish of the game. Like, oh no.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I'm really tired of with college basketball. One is that if you're going to do replay, do it right, and if you're going to take that long, don't do it. Right? Put the timer on and say, "What'd you call? What did you see?" We can't come to a conclusion after 3 minutes of seeing this many. The call stands. Period. It's that quick.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think in a lot of ways the NFL has it right in that regard. And if you're going to do replay, then Virginia's not even there, right? Because that's a double dribble in the game, in the semifinal game. So if you're going to do replay, that you have to expand it for a couple of things, because that was a clear missed call and an obvious, and there was just no doubt about it. And in hockey, I'm not a big fan of the calling off goals on an offside that wasn't called 30 seconds before. Right. But if you're going to do replay, do it right, get it right. I think they got it right, but it took too long.
Yeah, and I don't know, for some apparent reason, I see how football and baseball, that these calls really these cameras really work. I don't know if it really works for basketball, because really they're only using it the last couple minutes.
Pretty
much.
And it's just really just like you got momentum and going in a game and everything, and then it just turns into the 2 minutes. ends from the 2 minutes to the final buzzer almost takes from like the start of the second half all the way to 2 minutes. Like it's really crazy how it all slows it down. And I don't know. It's just it really took me away from a really fun finish. And Texas Tech, you got to give it to them. Kind of the surprise team, and there's statistics that showed like they were up by 3 with 2 minutes left. They were like 76% on closing that deal down. So you got to give it to Virginia, and the kid Guy. I mean, there was a lot of good 3-pointers that were being hit late, and I don't know.
Right,
it was a great game, and I had a feeling that if Texas Tech was going to win this, they had to win it in the regular time because they just Virginia had overtime games and they were just a little bit better on the defensive side, but overall the finish was great other than that call that kind of just threw a little damper in the thing.
Virginia, the bottom line for Virginia is that they still had to make good on the luck that they got, and they did that all through the tournament. And it's just a great sports story to be the first number one, to be unseated by a 16 in the tournament, to come back and redeem themselves. That was a damn good team last year that got beat. And Tony Bennett wore that. I mean, he said that had nothing to do with his kids. And he said they're not in the offseason. They weren't in the locker rooms saying, we need to redeem ourselves. It's like, I'm the only one who has to redeem myself, right? He goes, I'm the one who screwed that up. That's, and now it's just about them getting to the Final Four, getting to the tournament. So hats off to them for that.
Yeah, and the fight in these kids, because it started in game one. Game one, they were down 14, 15 points in that game, and fought their way back. And
the over under in that game was 119 to start. Yeah. Texas Tech was stuck at 10 points right at around the 9-minute mark, and
it went from 116 to 119.
Yeah, right. It was bad. It was low, and it looked like that until Texas Tech hit those three pointers in a row, and then things started to get rolling before the half ended. But the thing that I think I was the most mesmerized by is that, you like to see some scoring, but that was some incredible defense. Yeah. Some of the most tenacious, stifling matchup defense I think I've seen in a long time.
On both sides.
There were always great defensive teams that could protect at the rim, right? Elijah and Ewing and guys like that. This was a team defense, just staggeringly good.
Yeah.
And that was fun.
Yeah. And showed defense wins championships.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Going back to the Baltimore Ravens days.
Let's get into a little bit of baseball. The Dodgers and the Angels. Dodgers were – you got a later score on that? They were down 3-0.
I think they're still down.
The bats have been silenced a little bit in St. Louis. They
again, you play 3 at high altitude, and you come in for a 4-game series in St. Louis. Didn't surprise me at all. And I'm not too worried about the bats because that's going to happen, and I think that they're probably going to get stifled again today. They're going to need to get their legs back. What's the score?
3-0 St. Louis, bottom of 5.
Yeah, and for me, it's just like I hate 4-game series. I hate them.
Yeah,
I hate them. And two within the first 15 games. It's awful. It's just awful. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It's the worst. The worst. And even though the Dodgers took 3 out of 4, from the Diamondbacks, I just hate it. There's something really about it.
It seems
because
too
I
long.
want somebody to win a series. You got a 3-game series, somebody wins a series. You got a 4-game series.
Yeah.
They might not. You got to win 3. You got to win 75% to win the series. I hate that.
Yeah.
I just hate it.
Yeah.
And then the travel right now. It's just weird. Weird. 3 games in Colorado and then playing the next
off day.
The next day in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Look, it's not a terrible flight, but come on. That's a strain on the bullpen. It's a strain early. Yeah. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know whether they're trying to save on having to make a second trip to St. Louis or What I don't know.
I don't know. It's stupid.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that are stupid in baseball. Right now. I mean, that I'm gonna start the game with my my 1 inning guy, or we're only gonna let our starters go 4 innings. And
well, I think you can tell with the Dodgers. I mean, it's like 75 to 80 is the pitch count, and then they're done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm seeing it across the board. A lot of guys
but for me, it's like, okay, if a kid comes up in the minors and you kind of tell him this is how it's going to be, right? You throw a Joe Kelly out there who sort of like was a setup man, and you're bringing him in the 4th inning. You're just setting that guy up for failure. He's been dreadful this year. I mean, he's been awful. He hasn't gone a game where he hasn't given up runs or inherited runs. He's been awful. His velocity's still there, but he's been terrible.
I think he's blown the lead in all 3 games.
But how are we using him? Look, I like the old days when it was like, if somebody has to go out early, we got a long reliever, and then we got maybe this guy, and then we go matchups, and then there's 7-8. There's the bridge to Kenley. Yeah. And here it's like,
and then Rue just went on. I think Rue's got
on the IL.
Groin issue, I guess.
Yeah. But I will tell you this, as somebody who has to watch the Dodgers on replay with my MLB thing, because I can't watch them live because they're blacked out, and I don't have DirecTV or whatever the hell they're on.
You're not streaming it through Iran? Or
no,
Iraq
I was doing the Tunnel Bear, but I can't do that anymore. It's just, can't do it.
Damn Canadians.
But Tunnel Bear, very cool. If it makes your MLB application think that you're watching it from Canada or someplace else.
Tunnel Bear. We're looking for sponsors.
Yeah, Tunnel Bear.
Yeah.
But for me, the length of the game is still tough, and Manfred wants to hurry things up and cut down on this and cut down on that. And I'm telling you, I am a proponent. Automated strike zone, automated strike calls. You don't get batters stepping out of the box to complain. You don't get managers chirping at the umpire from the dugout. You don't get pitchers walking off like Bumgarner, walking down and yelling at an umpire for 3 minutes and not get thrown out, and Bochy come out. I mean, those are the things that delay the game. And the other thing is that you bring in a reliever, and you've got a guy who was dialing in his strike zone behind the plate, right? And then a reliever comes in, and all of a sudden that guy's throwing a different velocity, different arm angle, and the ump takes about an inning to catch up. And again, more pitches, lengthens the game, automated strike zone. If the guy's throwing strikes, he's throwing strikes. But it takes too long for some of these umpires to get into the groove. And then you've got guys like, Hernandez, who's pinching guys all the time, who holds a grudge. It's like, don't tell me that 96% is good enough. It's not. Mm-hmm. It's not. It's just not. Yeah. And if it could speed up the game, let's get it to as close to 100% as possible. So that's my rant on the length of games. Automated strike zone, you eliminate all of those little things.
Yeah, that would
that lengthen the game.
Vince also likes to keep the pin in also when he putts to speed that up too.
That's legal now, right? That's legal.
Yeah, just letting you know.
It's legal. Yeah. Sometimes I need the backboard. It helps.
Angels had a nice win last night. They're playing well. Can't wait to see how well Trout can do when he gets Justin Upton hitting behind him instead of Justin Bour.
Kid's Superman right now.
His week last week was considering he doesn't
worth
get any
all
pitches.
$430 million, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. With Bellinger and Trout, what a great time for LA sports, right?
Yeah.
Bellinger's got a good break. He's got mashers behind him, so they have to throw him strikes. They don't want him on base when the guys behind him are coming up, but. You can pitch right around Trout with that lineup the way it is now.
Oh, yeah. But the pitching's hanging in there, It
is.
Yeah, and, and Bour finally hit a home run, right? But he's hitting like, I think, 050.
Yeah,
no, he's hitting he's hitting 125. Cozart's hitting 053.
Yeah.
So our corners are horrendous, right? Yeah. And the kid, the outfield's, those kids are kind of in LaStella, and they're kind of holding their own. But what's been very impressive is that the middle relief guys are really doing when they have a lead, are really holding their own. I mean, there's 4 guys in there like Johnson, but these guys are they haven't given up an earned run yet, right? And so things are very positive there. Skaggs is off to an okay start. But like tonight, Harvey's got a 9 ERA. Like, he's going against Milwaukee, which has got a, offensive, powerhouse. So I'm kind of curious to see how this goes, right? But, Allen's done his job, and Johnson's done his job, and Ramirez has done his job. And so, there's these guys that they're holding their own. But, it still is. They're playing like a 500 ball club, and that's.
Justin Anderson comes in Sunday, gets him out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam, and they send him out to Salt Lake. Here's your reward for that. Catch a flight to Utah. So, the pitching has been a pleasant surprise to say the least. Still questions with the starting rotation. Relievers have done well. They've got to get some hitting. Which okay. That's going to be a good lineup when they get Ohtani and
correct. Yeah, exactly. You just hope you're not too far out.
You got to tread water. You got to stay in the race between.
And that's what their pitching's doing that for them.
Down in,
you just got to be able to support. But this, again, like you said, I mean, Trout to, Simmons to Bohr is.
Yeah.
It's like you said, Simmons is better in that 5 and 6 spot than he is in that,
Yeah, he's not a cleanup hitter.
Yeah.
That's for sure. All the standings are still pretty much upside down. Got Baltimore up there at 5 and 5, or Boston down at 2 and 8. And,
well, they lost
Cubs,
again. Boston lost again today to Toronto.
Cubs are way down.
They're 3 and 9, and last year they were 23 and 9 by the time they lost their 9th game.
Wow.
Boston is.
Wow. Yeah.
The one thing that's out there, and Vince and I are on a text message going with some buddies, but poor Chris Davis is since last year 0 for 49.
I know. When's he going to get that hit?
And I heard today, they owe him $30 million for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
$30 million this year and $30 million next year.
Right.
And the guy, he cannot get a hit. And now he's in the 7th spot. This guy used to hit 50 home runs. Now he's in the 7th spot, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the double leadoff here soon. But in $30 million, you got to this guy. If he was $1 million, just $1 million guy, he's down in AAA. Go figure it out and come back. And
exactly, yeah, work it out.
You're paying this guy $30 million. He's got to play. You're paying him, and it's pretty sad to watch.
I'm wondering what anybody's able to say to him, right? If he's listening to anybody, right? I haven't seen a lot of his swings, but he can't catch.
I don't think he knows what he's
doing. It looks like
doesn't know what he's doing.
He needs an eye exam or an exorcism. Something.
He needs a rain out.
Yeah. Yeah. 0 for 49.
So your American League East, Rays 9 and 3.
Yeah.
And everybody from that point on is 500 or better. Yankees, Orioles 500, Blue Jays, Red Sox dead last at 3 and 9. And
Houston's starting to make a move in the West.
Yeah, and
no surprise there.
I think the Yankees are beating them though 2-1. And then
look at Minnesota's near the top, and Detroit has won a few games in the Central.
Central, yeah. So Indians and Tigers are at 7 and 3, 7 and 4. Twins are 5 and 3. Mariners 10 and 2.
Yeah.
10 and 2. Astros 6 and 5. The Athletics started off hot, and then they went south.
They've lost.
Yeah.
They've lost a few.
Yeah. Phillies 7 and 2. Mets, Braves, Nationals. Brewers are 8 and 3. Cardinals are now 500, so they're starting to work. Cubs, there's another team that's been struggling, but they won 10-0 last night. And then obviously, how about those Padres?
Padres are still hanging in there.
Hanging around.
Yeah, and they're playing against the Giants tonight. So, yeah. So, that's kind of the update as of now. But, yeah. It's still early, but, I mean, you don't want to get too far behind,
The Ducks and the Kings both looking for coaches. I see that one coach. What's that guy? Quizno went to the Tampa Bay or
Tampa Bay's actually in the playoffs. You mean somebody?
Florida? The guy that used to coach the Blackhawks?
I'm actually with the Ducks. I'm a big fan of bringing this kid up from from down in San Diego. Yeah, Dallas Eakins. I don't know. I think he deserves a chance. You got your staples you can go to even with the Kings, like the Joel Quinvilles and the Todd McLennans and the Mike. These guys that were with the Blues and the Oilers and, the ex-Blackhawks coach. I mean, these guys have done it, they know how to – but I don't know. I just think, like the Lakers, I think just need a fresh start. And he's played – they're bringing a lot of these kids up to play, and he knows them all.
He knows them all, sure.
And I don't know. Maybe I'd bring him up and then kind of secure him with good bench coaches, that have possibly been there. But I don't know. That's kind of my pick as of now.
I think it's good chemistry.
I think it's good for him, and
he's had success down there. He knows the kids. He's coached most of the kids, and he knows their strong suits, their weak suits, and.
I'm still shaking my head at the Kings getting rid of Stevens so early in the season.
Yeah, that was
and going to Desjardins. I mean, again, you talk about presidential and GM ineptitude. Luke and Rob have not looked great.
No, that's right.
Have not looked great.
That's right.
That was a very old team, and then they tried to just bring in a bunch of young guys and let them sort of get on the job training. Yet they got rid of the guy who was going to coach the young guys and the team speed. I don't understand why they quit on him so quickly.
Yeah, it was 7 games.
Eight games. Yeah, it was. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. So the Kings are looking for a coach, and I'm not convinced that Luke and Rob are going to pick the right guy. The Kings got more bad news today, double bad news. So they dropped out of the top 3 in the lottery. They are picking 5th. It's New Jersey, the New York Rangers, and the Blackhawks. Jumped up from 11th or 12th or wherever they were slotted in the percentages. The Ducks will pick 8th. Kings are picking 5th, which is a disaster because there's really 4 good players that are no-brainer, can't-miss guys, and the Kings fell right out of that. No surprise that big market New Jersey, New York, and Chicago there at the top.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theories abound. And then Slava Voinov has been suspended through Slava Voinov, who was suspended for beating his girlfriend or wife for domestic abuse, and so he was out all year, and he was coming up for a reevaluation, and they've suspended the NHL suspended him again for another year. He can appeal it. The Kings are staying mum on the situation. I'm not sure that they would even reinstate him, but I think they'd try to to get something for him. But now that he's suspended, he's worthless, and so bad news for the Kings today, all around.
The Raiders might want him.
Maybe.
Yeah, he'd fit right in.
Yeah. And after all this, now speaking of coaches, UCLA finally got their man.
Yeah.
Not their number 1, their 2, or their 3, but their 4th.
Yeah, they got Mike Cronin from
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
Yep.
6 years, $24 million.
Yeah. Apparently, they were only interviewing white guys. Older white guys, the Lon Kruger and the Rick Barnes, and and I as a Trojan fan, I just find it hilarious that they thought they could have gotten
Oh yeah.
I think they're still thinking that UCLA is this 1975 powerhouse, still,
right? Exactly.
And it's not, we've discussed this. The Pac-12 is not good in basketball, to be honest with you. They're not good in football either, right? So these guys that have good jobs and they're starting to get kids to come to the schools like the Tennessees now, and why would you want to jump ship?
Yeah,
are you just chasing money? Yeah. Well, by the way, I think this is a good
hire
for Cronin.
It's a good hire.
I actually like him.
It's a good hire.
Yeah. I think
it's a good hire. But if you were to tell me, hey, a pretty big name college hired Mick Cronin, I'd go, oh, that's good. That's a good hire. Yeah. And you tell me it's UCLA, I go, I'm not impressed. I mean, it's still UCLA, and even in the press conference, they're still they're still trotting out Wooden. It's like, Okay, we get it. We know,
Yeah.
right?
Been there, done that.
Does Kentucky, when they hire a coach, say Rupp? No, it's just no, stop it. We get it.
50 years ago.
But I mean, he's got great statistics. 296 and 147 overall, 13 seasons, and took him to 9 consecutive NCAA tournaments.
But not past the round of 32.
Correct. Yeah, and
not into the Sweet 16.
What's the buyout?
It's a good hire. It's not a great hire, but I don't know what would be a great hire.
It's probably solid.
Who's out there that would be the great hire that would jump ship from a pretty good situation and then come.
UCLA's living on the Kool-Aid if they think that all these coaches just can't wait to get to their campus to coach.
Well, I mean, there were some good offers on the table, and these guys said no.
I know.
So they saw what was.
First of all, you can't go into Calipari and say you need to come to LA, but you need to take a pay cut. If that's really what happened, boy,
that's embarrassing.
That's an embarrassment,
Yeah.
And you can't go. To Jamie Dixon and say, we really want you. Come on, let's go. He goes, well, my buyout's, $8 million. How about make it 5?
Yeah.
What incentive did TCU have to do that? None.
Yeah, exactly.
None at all. Yeah. None whatsoever. And then Rick Barnes. Now it's like, okay, we'll get Rick Barnes. Rick Barnes, 64 years old.
Yeah.
That's gonna right the ship. I mean, Jamie Dixon felt like Ben Howland 2.0.
Right.
So I was like,
yeah,
it was one of his proteges. I mean, that's a pretty good hire. I like Jamie Dixon. He's a good guy, local guy. I like him. It's fine. It's a fine pick. But, Rick Barnes? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I mean, he did pretty good. He's, coach of the year, right? They couldn't get him either.
So the Cincinnati guy must not have had a buyout.
Oh, no, I don't think so. It didn't say anything about it.
It must not have been anywhere close.
It was this big.
Yeah, exactly.
It must not have been anywhere close.
$2.45.
But a guy like Cronin, I mean, obviously, a place like Cincinnati, probably, they write those things in to keep themselves safe, right? Because they but they probably had a gentleman's agreement with Cronin, like if you get a big job that you really want to go to, sometimes they come in with a list. These are the places I'd leave for, that's fine. Put them on the list, and the buyout is tiny. I don't know what the buyout was here. I really don't. Yeah. I haven't heard. I don't know. It's.
I know the Wolfer coach went to. I just went blank.
Which coach?
The Wolfer coach.
Wolfer?
Yeah.
Who's Wolfer?
No, the Wolford.
Oh, Wolford.
The
Wolford
coach went to. I just went blank.
Senior moment.
I don't know. Musselman to Arkansas.
Yeah,
it's a good
Musselman.
Yeah. That's
it's a good.
That's a good move.
Essentially, ruins Nevada's chances of recruiting anybody ever again, at least for a long while.
How's this guy going to recruit?
That's 30 years old.
The Cincinnati coach. How is he going to recruit out here?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, and that's the whole deal. Maybe he's got great recruiting back in that Kansas City, or I should say Cincinnati, Kentucky area, and that just adds to
bring him out here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Virginia
Tech is where the Wolfer coach went.
I don't. Cronin's going to be fine. He's fine. It's a fine pick. I don't think any Bruin fans are doing handstands about it.
Yeah. Not jumping up and down.
Either Trojan fans.
Rams, Chargers, anything going on?
Well, just let me interject that the Trojans have a top 5 recruiting class coming in next year, and the Bruins are not even in the top 20. So, just saying. Wow. I think somebody misspelled UCLA as Temple.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad to see that.
That if we can stay off probation,
that's right.
Stay out of the the FBI, most wanted.
I think the FBI has an office there now at USC.
Yeah. West Coast headquarters.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Right next to Heritage Hall.
Right. I don't know. I was going to throw something out here, and it's stupid, but
well, coming from you, well,
thank you.
Understand.
Do you think it would be a bad decision to bring on, as the third quarterback for the Chargers, Johnny Manziel?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I don't think that does anything for the Chargers. He's a douche.
Right.
He's an absolute douche. And Phillip Rivers is a good guy.
Right.
And
they probably kill each other.
And if I came up to him and said, and I was the general manager, and I said, Phillip, here's what I'm thinking about doing, and I want you to mentor this kid. I think Phillip Rivers would probably use a swear word.
Yeah, which he's never done in his
Right.
life.
For
Yeah.
the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In life.
I just no. I don't like the idea.
Okay.
The Chargers aren't desperate enough, right? I think that
yeah.
there's still ways for them to sort of,
Maybe find
find
somebody
a
in the draft.
successor.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
to have somebody sort of fall into their lap or get to free agency. I mean, once Phillip retires, there's going to be a big chunk of money that's freed up, and so he looked fantastic last year. I mean, I don't. That doesn't mean you shouldn't get somebody who can back him up, but I've got no interest in watching Johnny Manziel back him up.
There was talk before about Josh Rosen, but I don't think.
No, I mean Josh Rosen. I guess he's been the first one to practice spring practice every single day, the last couple days, and Kingsbury's still, he's the guy.
Yep.
Right? But
that's who he's got to impress. Yeah.
Yep.
And the draft's what?
Couple of weeks.
Yeah, end of the month. Yeah. So we'll see.
Santa Anita.
Yeah, the Derby.
Nobody's. The Derby, and nobody's died in the last 20 minutes.
Nope. It's
Knock on wood.
Yeah, it was pretty good this on Saturday. I didn't get to watch any of it, but I heard that Mike Smith brought a horse out of nowhere to win, but that's Magic Mike for you.
Yeah.
Baffert had a very successful weekend,
sure
and he's got actually a big one running in the Arkansas Derby, I think, this weekend too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it looks like Santa Anita never went to those European whip rules that they were. I think they had considered it in the California state, but they didn't
you can
quite
hit the horse twice, and that's
right.
That was what they were voting on, but I don't think they ended up going that route. So I don't think those European whip rules were instituted or implemented. Okay, because I think
it looks like they're showing it a lot, and then I don't know. It's so you don't know if they're hitting him.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
I had heard you can hit him twice, but I don't. It sounds like they did.
That's what they wanted to implement, was that there's certain times you can hit them. There's a limit to how many times you can hit them. But I don't think they ever the state board ever voted in favor of that.
Okay.
Masters.
Well, we got soccer. I
Soccer?
noticed that both teams are actually off to great starts, which is great for LA soccer. So
back-to-back hat tricks for LAFC.
Yeah.
Back packing those 25,000 feet.
What a beautiful,
they're doing a
beautiful
great job.
stadium.
Yeah, they're
Galaxy
great. Yeah.
Galaxy are doing well.
Yeah, so that's
Both of
like
them.
you put down. Yeah, it's good for the city. Yeah,
It is.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yes, Masters. It's
Wait, hold on. You gonna tell us who you're gonna pick?
Yeah, we got to call.
We got a draft going on. I might
I got a hotline.
I might need to know.
The
First
red
of all,
line to
you gotta
Vegas.
I think that the great thing about it is Corey Connors, right? The guy who won
Yeah.
this. So what's great about this, I don't know if you guys know, but he had to Monday qualify because there was a lot of big names that came in to play the week before the Masters.
Right.
They usually don't play the Valero, right?
Right.
That event was usually the Houston Open down at the Shell Houston Open, and that folded and moved to later in the year. Okay, so guys will play that event just to play around, try to get 4 rounds in before they go to the Masters.
Right.
So a guy like Corey Connors gets pushed to the side, so he had to go to Monday qualifier. So he Monday qualifies for the event, and then he wins it, and then he's on a plane him and his wife, I think, had a vacation set to go somewhere, and then he's like, "Honey, you got to cancel that. We're going to Augusta." So it's a
vacation in
great
Georgia.
story where the guy Monday qualifies, and the next Monday he's playing a practice round at Augusta National. I mean, you can't.
Can't have it any better
You
than
can't
that.
have that, that story written any better. So, a buddy of mine actually is on the bag. So it was great for him to get the win actually.
That's terrific.
For the Looper. So that was great. Yeah. Masters is going to be. There's going to be a lot of guys that can win this. It's the first time where I kind of looked at it and said, you could probably go down to the 14 or 15 guys that can win this week.
First of all, what's the weather like there this week?
Right, it rained yesterday, so that soaked the golf course a little bit. Had thunderstorms, but other than that, the rest of the week's supposed to be okay. Supposed to be really nice for the par 3 championship or the little par 3 tournament tomorrow. But for the week, I'd have to look into it a little bit. I don't know if you want to pull up the weather at all, but I think it's supposed to be nice. Probably swirling winds a little bit through the weekend, but so that's that.
You're going to handicap this thing for us so I can.
Yeah,
I got the.
Well, it's a little international, but I did throw some Americans in there. You look at statistics, at least the last 3 years, and it's quite interesting how how well Rory plays there. Dustin Johnson obviously slipped on something last 2 years ago, so he didn't play 2 years ago, but last year he came in 10th. So, but Justin Rose is very, very consistent there, and I just feel like, I got my top 5. I got Rose, McIlroy, Johnson. I kind of like as a long shot John Rahm. Hits the ball high and soft, which you have to do there. You have to hit the ball high and soft there because you have to play to certain positions on the greens and have breaks take the balls to the hole.
Right.
And he hits it very high. Rory hits it very high. So those are and I put down as my 5th one this guy named Tiger Woods, actually. Is
he new?
Yeah, he's a new guy, actually, out of Florida. And he's put himself in contention in majors in the last year, and he's actually performed pretty good.
He hasn't played.
He loves the place. He knows how to play the place. So you might want to consider him a favorite, but he's more or less a longer shot. But so it's hard to take Tiger when he's playing well, to take him out of your mix. And then I have a sleeper. My sleeper is Paul Casey. Paul Casey's won already this year. He plays very consistent there. He's been known to play very well on the weekend there. I did want to throw Fowler in there, but there's been some inconsistencies there. Spieth is another guy that plays well there, but there's been inconsistencies there.
Right.
So Rose, McIlroy, Johnson, Rahm, and Woods, and my sleepers Paul Casey. So.
You're talking about the weather. So for the opening rounds on Thursday and Friday, Thursday it's going to be sunny and 82. And then overcast on Friday, 85. So the humidity is going to be high. Yeah. And then Saturday is the same, 85, cloudy. And it looks like potential thunderstorms on Sunday and 83.
Yeah. So it's warm there, so that means the ball's going to be flying. So that means you're going to really have to control your distances because you don't want to be playing from above the greens there. So, so it looks like it's going to be a gorgeous week at the Masters, right? So
sounds like
first major of the year for the men. So
I'm sure the networks are hoping, the suits are hoping that Tiger will be around on Sunday.
Yes, they are. Yeah, or one of the top 10 guys, right? That are favored. So, there's only 83 or 85 guys in the tournament, so it's a small field. So, that's it.
Be a good start to the major season.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the NBA for just a second. We didn't have a chance to talk about the Clippers, who are right. They were right tied with San Antonio with one game to go. I don't know if they both finished the season. I think San Antonio plays Dallas, and the Clippers play. Did they play Utah? I'm not sure, but they're tied.
That sounds right.
They're tied right now for the 7 and 8, and you don't want number 8. And
so who? I'm sorry. Who are they up against again?
I think San Antonio has Dallas in their last game. It's either tonight or tomorrow night.
And I know you mentioned something. I think that girl would be great for. I don't know if it ever happened, but you mentioned something about
Becky
Popovich.
Yeah.
wanting that girl to be. I
He-
think
she-
she's very good.
She
at what
is
she
his
does.
lead
Yeah.
assistant. Yeah.
I just don't know if it'll ever happen, but
Yeah, she's.
so.
Gasol was impressed with her when he played there.
Mhm. And so, and she won the G League.
Yeah, she did.
She won the G League championship.
Yeah.
Well, she's a terrific coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see.
I'm just wondering who has a tiebreaker if the
Utah and Denver are in a battle at halftime, 60-59. OKC and Houston are going, but I don't have any. Golden State beat.
There was a 3-way tie for
Yeah.
6th, 7th, 8th, right?
I thought there was just.
No, I think it is. Oh,
I think it was a half game.
No, that's not on the East Coast, or is that on the West?
West. But and it was at some point that
Yeah,
was,
it was.
bunch
Yeah.
of,
It was
so
3. OKC, I think was.
but I think the Clips are an 8. If everything ended right now, I think they would be an 8.
That's too bad. I'd like to see
Yeah.
him, get past the first round.
Well, they needed to take care of business against a depleted Lakers team
They
that
should-
played
yeah.
out of their heads. You know,
you can't.
on a road game essentially for the Lakers.
So you're right. Thunder, Spurs, and Clippers are all at 47 and 34.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's your
So
battle.
it's one game left for all of them.
Is that right?
Yeah,
There's-
80.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're all at 81.
And I had let's see here. I had an OKC, and Houston's beaten OKC early in the second, 38-33. So.
Well, that would be a confusing tiebreaker if those 3 teams.
So what happens if
Tied.
they all win?
Yeah, they all tied.
Well, I don't know the tiebreaker. I don't know it. I think that the way that ESPN has them in the standings is based off of a tiebreaker. So I think OKC, San Antonio, Clippers is how it would shake out.
So it's by their winning percentage. So
it's
No,
percent.
well, I mean, obviously they're all going to have the
The
same winning
same
percentage.
percentage.
no, the Thunder are at .588. The Spurs are at .580. And so
Oh
the
well,
Clippers
what do you say
Well,
the
they-
OKC's record is?
They can't be the same record then.
47-33. It says 47-33.
How about?
Well, they've calculated it wrong. Then what are the Clips at?
Well, that's only 80 games.
47-34.
Oh,
That's what it is.
47-34.
Yeah. Sorry.
So the Clips are a half game back.
Yeah.
Yes, they got
At
2
this
games to
point.
go.
So there's 2 games, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so the OKC is a half game. They're 1 game ahead in the loss column
Right.
against over San Antonio and the Clippers.
Right.
So only currently the Clippers and San Antonio are tied. And in that tiebreaker, San Antonio would have the.
And the Clippers don't play tonight, right? No.
Not tonight,
So
tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
I think.
Golden State just beat New Orleans. So, yeah, so the only ones that are playing, Lakers are playing Portland and Denver and Utah, and Dallas is killing Phoenix. So, really, you got to wait for tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does it end then on Friday? Is that the last game?
I think tomorrow's the last game.
Yeah, tomorrow's last game.
Oh, I thought you just said they have 2 more games.
No.
No. All right.
That should do it.
All right.
All right. We have any anybody jingled into the show tonight?
No, didn't look like it.
Doesn't look like it.
I wasn't on. He was on.
I was on.
Anybody have anything else?
Nope.
We are out.
Good night.
Peace.